Okay, in the last video, we talked about brands and how they help us navigate the world and how they have meaning in the consumer's mind. And we're going to go a little bit deeper on that. But before we get to that, let's talk about what consumers really want from a good brand, from a successful brand or a successful service, right? What do they want? They want consistency. It's just plain and simple. That's it. They want to know the experience I got last time, I'm going to get it next time. And if I tell any family or friends about it or I recommend it to someone, they're going to get that same experience. Think about that. Think about when you're telling somebody about something, maybe that some like food you really like or like a beverage that you really like or something. You're like, oh, you got to try this. It's so good. Try this. It's so good. You know that you've had it multiple times and it's good. And then if you tell your friend to try it, they're going to have that same experience that you had, right? So patients and well as consumers, they want consistency. They want to have the same good experience of our product, which in our case, it's our patient experience. And they want to have that every time, and they want to have it every time they come back, and they want to recommend it to people, and those people show up, they have the same experience as well. So I want you to look at these four brands here, okay? And now the two on your left, right? We're looking at Coca-Cola and Nike. All right, those are pretty popular brands, pretty strong brands, right? And then the two on the right, the Marriott and hotel brand, hotel chain that has a lot of hotels under it, and Southwest Airlines. Now, there's a big difference between the two on the right and the two on the left. Now, we look at Coca-Cola and Nike. They sell products. They sell like things that are tangible. You can hold it in your hand. It's clothes. It's a beverage. It's like you can hold it. You have it. You possess it. Now, what about Southwest and Marriott? You're talking about a hotel and you're talking about flight, air travel. It's not really something you can hold. They're selling a service, right? So there's a big difference between product brands and service brands. And this is super important when we think about how hard it is to provide consistency if we're talking about a product brand or a service brand. Which one's harder to do? Let's think about that. So before we go into that, let's talk about touch points. What is a touch point? A touch point is any interaction that a consumer has with a brand. In our case, at the dental office, it's every single time they look at our website. It's when they pick up the phone, they call us and we talk to them. It's when they talk to the assistant. It's their experience when they come in the waiting room. It's the way the doctor speaks to them. And it's the interaction they have with the hygienist. It's how they're checked out at the front desk, right? Those are all touch points that they have. Now, what about like Coca-Cola? How many touch points do you have with Coca-Cola? Well, you might see their advertisements. They might say, Coke's great, Coke's cool, wow, cool, they just drink Coke. So that might be one touch point. But the other touch point is going to be after you open that can and you drink it. You just taste it, right? Like those are the only touch points, the advertising and the experience of the product. And that's one of the things that makes product brands like Nike and Coca-Cola so much easier than service brands to be a strong, consistent brand because they just have a product and they just have advertising. That's all. Now let's go and think about the Marriott and Southwest and our dental offices, which are service brands. To provide a consistent experience with a service brand, you're not really selling a product. You don't really have something tangible you can hold in your hand. You're selling an experience. An experience has to do with the patient's perception of it, and it can get muddled up by all the different humans that provide that experience. So when we're in a service brand, our experience is very dependent on the humans. In humans, we make mistakes, we have bad days, we have feelings, we have emotions. So it's much more difficult to provide a consistent experience when you're in a service brand. And if you look at a list of like the top 10 or top 20 brands in America, you're going to see most of them are product brands because of that reason. It's very hard to provide consistency with service brands. So, and it's because of the variability and the touch points. So let's think about these touch points. You can have a touch point that's a positive experience and it reinforces that brand. It's in line with what the brand is. You taste that Coke, it tastes good. You go to the Marriott, the room was clean. The people were friendly, things like that. That's a positive touch point. That's going to reinforce our brand. Think about the negative touch points, all right? You might open that Coke and it's got a dead mouse in it. I don't know. It doesn't really happen because it's a product brand. But think about negative touch points in service brands. That's so easy. The room wasn't clean. The person at the hotel desk wasn't very nice. When you called, they didn't help you. The person wasn't friendly on the phone. When you went to the restaurant at the hotel, the server wasn't very nice. All these things can go wrong because of the human element. So think about this. Negative touch points, they erode our brand. Like the positive touch points, they reinforce it. Negative touch points erode it. And what we need to understand is that negative touch points are always going to carry much more weight in the consumer's mind. So you can have all these positive things happen, but one thing goes wrong, that's what they're going to remember. And that's what this graphic kind of means. It's showing that negative touch point, that brand erosion, it's much more stronger than anything that reinforces the brand. So let's think about when a patient moves through our office. We mentioned they look at our website, first touch point. Hopefully it's good. They make a phone call. That's the first time they're going to have an interpersonal touch point. They're going to talk to a human. That's part of our brand. Hopefully it's good. They come in the office and it looks great. That's a good touch point. They go back and they get seated and they have a good interaction with the assistant that brings them back. Good touch point. But then let's say something bad happens. You know, someone's like the doctor's in kind of a hurry and they can sense that the doctor's in a hurry. That's what we're looking at this chart. This is the patient moving through the office and then they're having positive touch points, positive, and they're getting closer to saying yes to our treatment. And if we really get enough positive touch points, they're going to say yes and they're going to refer everybody they know. That's what we want to get. But we might have a negative touch point. But look at how much more that line drops with that negative touch point. That's showing that negative touch point has much more weight. So hopefully we can get enough positive touch points to outweigh the negative so that the patient at least says yes and has a good feeling about our office. But we want to get them to that point where they're just in love with us, in love with that office, with our office. We don't want them to say no, and we definitely don't want them to say no and tell everybody about what a horrible experience they had. But we know, we work in dentistry. This happens, right? People have bad experiences, and most of our patients have had a bad experience at a dental office at some point in their life. So what's important for you to know is that every single touch point matters. Every single one. I'm talking about the quality of your toilet paper. That matters. That gives an impression of your brand. How well put together everyone is. Are all the uniforms matching? Are they well pressed or are they wrinkly? Is the front desk nice and tidy and orderly, or is it like a complete disaster and there's things everywhere? Everything, every single touch point says something about our office. So every little thing that we do, whether you work in the front or you work in the back, it all matters. It all either reinforces our brand as a positive touch point or it erodes our brand as a negative touch point. And also the big point is that we are a service brand. Whether we like it or not, it's going to be very hard to stay consistent, but we can do it. But it's going to take a little bit more work than the product brands have to do. So we've got to be intentional. We've got to create this patient experience, and we got to say, this is what we do when, this is how the patient moves through the office. These are the touch points that we're going to provide that's going to give the patient a good experience. And then when we have a positive experience and we stay on brand, it is just like, that's how we stay consistent. Everybody's doing the same thing for every single patient. And that's a good thing because we get better case acceptance, which means we help more people. We have happier patients, which means they refer more people. So we get more patients to help. We help more people. We have a happier team that's proud to be part of our office, our culture. And that allows us to be happy when we're at work and provide an even better experience for our patients. We get more 5-star reviews. So we grow our patient base. More people see our 5-star reviews and say, I want to go there. And then, the other thing is we get more revenue because we're going to have more money at the office because more people are saying yes to our treatment. Not that we care about the revenue for profit, but more so that we're helping people, that we're providing value to people. So do always think about that. Everything is marketing. Everything you do matters. Every little thing the patient is looking at, and it can have an effect on how they feel about that brand. And if we want them to feel good about our dental office and our brand, we have to pay attention to all those little details because every single one matters.